Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Breeders' Cup Distaff preview, the classic for the fillies. And this is a race that at the beginning of the year you'd have been pretty excited about with some star names and good cheer, Torpedo, Anna. But the shape of the betting market has it looks fairly drastically different to how you'd have forecast, with Seismic Beauty being the shortest price, and Torpedo Anna retired, and good cheer. I'm not actually sure what's happened to her, but let's focus on the horses that are running, and let's focus first about the track that they're running on. So they are running over the 9 furlongs by looks of things at Del Mar, and it's a shorter run to the first bend than for the Classic, as point out. Do you think the draw is going to affect the runners in the Distaff?
So it's a good question, because I would have said no based on the last 3 distaffs run at Del Mar, but then the average field size has been 8 or just over 8. This year there are 13, so in a sense, while this is, they've got a shorter run up than the dirt mile, which is kind of a horror into the first turn if you're drawn wide. They haven't got as long a run up as they have for the Classic. There you see on the bottom left hand corner out of the chute at the 10 furlong point. So broadly speaking, I wouldn't have thought you'd want to be drawn hugely wide, but whether or not that will affect the outcome is another matter.
Okay, well, let's have a look at the horses that are running and where they are positioned. And we'll start with Seismic Beauty before quickly going through the rest. So Seismic Beauty, we put up a much bigger price earlier in the season, and we are feeling rather good about ourselves right now. But for someone who hasn't followed us in, what would you recommend on how to play Seismic Beauty at 9 to 4?
Yeah, we recommend to our followers in the European markets at 9 to 1, and then repeated that a month later when she was 8 to 1. So this is still a price for the ages, but we didn't quite realize at that stage that Torpedo Anna would retire, having gone at the game, that Cavalieri would be injured. And we also put up that cost us a bit. Cavalieri seemed a good bet, but then she's out. As you say, good cheer. She just hasn't gone on since the Kentucky Oaks. The 3-year-old division is desperate. The best of them is Nitrogen right at the top there in stall 1. But this, in my view, is the main feature of this race is about Seismic Beauty versus Seismic Beauty. By which I mean, if Seismic Beauty runs back to her last 2 runs, she just wins this. It's over. Chuck up the speed figures. These are the field now ordered in morning line odds. David Aragona, who does the Breeders' Line, predicted morning odds for the US public. These are the last 3 speed figures. Now, for those of you not familiar with US speed figures, dirt races in particular, but also turf races, the Americans are very keen on, I don't mind who finished where, but how fast did they effectively run, and not just the final time of the race, but taking into account the pace of the race and a number of different factors. There are various metrics. Andy Beyer developed the system 20, 30 years ago, so this is most famous, but there's Brisnet, US time form, and there are other metrics for gauging performance, Rogojin and Sorograph. It's a whole new sophisticated world for the European public. But taking the Beyer figures in terms of how fast a horse can run, Seismic Beauty's last 2, left to right, 110, 104 Beyers, are not just far faster than any horse in this race has ever run. Those 2 Beyers would be good enough to win any of the last 10, look at the right of the screen, any of the last 10 distaffs run at any track, apart from her 2 back, which would have just been shaded by Beholder's Distaff Beyer. Beholder, by the way, is an absolute superstar, 11 grade 1s, one of the greatest fillies the US dirt racing scene has ever seen. So, and as for the average Beyer, a couple of these can, just about at their best make the average Beyer at the last 10 distaffs, but all Seismic Beauty has to do is to repeat how fast she ran last time on this scale, and nothing can or will touch her. The question is, can she? Now you get into the negatives. So back to the previous screen, if you will. Let's look at her there. She's drawn a stall 8. That's fine, by the way. No big deal. 8 of 14. But in terms of the negatives, there are a couple. Firstly, she's not raced that many times, and although her last run was brilliant on the clock, and by the way, brilliant in terms of who she beat Coppion, who a lot of people would say is actually the best dirt filly in the US of any distance, although not at her best at 9 furlongs, which is why Seismic Beauty beat her. Everything all good in terms of the form. It was a small field. Seismic Beauty's been out in California with small fields. Now she's got 13 horses. And the other 3 speed horses in this race that I could see, 5, 6, and 7, Scottish Lassie, Alice Verite for Japan, and Jin Jin, are all on her inside. How much work is Seismic Beauty going to need to do to make the lead in clear, which I'm pretty sure is what she wants to do? That's one big thing. Secondly, she won't be on Lasix now. There's Americans, horses are allowed to run on this furamicide or whatever it's called, Lasix as it's known in the trade. Breeders' Cup don't have that. She'll be off that here. Can she run back to her best? Maybe. There's brilliance to this filly, but with brilliance's potential, I don't know, non-repeat. Baffert will do what Baffert does, and she's the further likely winner, and I do see 2-1. 9-4, as you can get shade over 2-1 in the European markets as fair. Personally, obviously, 9-1, we recommended it. 2-1 doesn't appeal, but this is a really, really poor Distaff, and she's the one that stands on the figures. Sorry for the long ramble, but this race is about one horse.
Okay. So no, should we end there, or are there a couple outsiders that you want to go into that might provide?
Well, when you say outsiders, you see, then you got 4-1 second price is Nitrogen. The best of the 3-year-olds, but all the 3-year-olds have gone by the wayside. Immersive, last year's juvenile fillies, nothing good came there. Good Cheer went off. Others have gone, off color as well. Your Lacaras and whatever. Nigel's all that's left. She's mainly been a turf horse until 2 back. Then she won a Group 1. She's good on the dirt. It wasn't great. Looks weak now. And then she ran against Torpedo Anna last time, and they thought it'd be head-to-head. Torpedo Anna just dropped out the back, and Nitrogen was beaten by Jin Jin, who's in the 7 post here. That was disappointing. It was, an improvement on the speed figures. It was another great race. Nitrogen's never out of the exacta, the first 2 in her life. Maybe she will run very well on the speed figures. I'm not quite sure. I don't see her as an attractive win bet at 4s, and for the European bookmakers, she's not big enough price for an each way. So I'm not quite sure. Nitrogen, if Seismic Beauty doesn't turn up, she's a threat. If Seismic Beauty does, she's not.
Okay. So that's Nitrogen covered, second favourite. Next in the basket is Dorth Vader at 7-1.
Yeah, you see, there's like many people, this is one of us looking to wait and bet. Dorth Vader's really, really good. When Torpedo was good, gave her all she could handle. 2 back. Personal Enzyme, I think, Group 1. Also won the Ogden Phipps, like a really good one earlier in the year. Speed figures, best at nothing in Seismic Beauty's, wheelhouse, but pretty good. Then she draws the 12 with all the speed drawn 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm not quite kind of short trip she's going to get, and I wish she hadn't drawn out there outside. Yeah, right on the far outside. And yet 7-1, as you can see, David Aragon's prediction is that she'll be backed in and in by the US public. She's really good, and I think she's the best of the older horses, bar Seismic Beauty. Not quite sure whether I'd pull the trigger there with that post.
What about I will class these on the double figure odds as the outsiders. Anyone at a double figure price that attracts you?
Briefly going through it from the top, Sarawak Rim. This is interesting. She's from South America, and South America have brought over their blue prizes, and their other, good fillies have done really well. This is her first run in America, though, and David Aragon has seen fit to drop her from 20 to 1 to 12 to 1 in the last week. And if I could, I don't have, unfortunately, a personal line to David Aragon. If I did, I'd ask him why he did that. I don't quite see. I was mildly interested in this one. I still am at European prices, but can't quite get it in the 25s. I'd be very surprised if you were short as 12 to 1. Clico's the up and coming 3-year-old. Won her last few, one last time out. That was a Group 1. These are not quick races. These are not great on the clock. I suspect she has more to do, but she's well drawn. Possible, but no. Scylla is classy. Has run a lot of classy races in her time, but has been second and third over the last 8 races, more times than I can count. So they've tried her over 7 furlongs. She's now back to 9 furlongs. In a weak division, I'd expect her to run well, but she's unfortunately halved in price in the European markets from 33 she was. Scottish Lassie, 2 runs out of her last 6 are blowout amazing. The other 4 are pretty dreadful. When she's run the brilliant ones, it's because she's got, kind of uncontested lead, and I don't really see that here. But there is a one-off brilliance there, which I get. Alice Verite, 4th innings last year, beaten 7 lengths. She kind of fluffed the break, and she's mainly raced on grass in Japan, but she was a very close 5th in the Victoria Roman. Close 5th sounds a bit disparaging, but she led, and by the way, she was 2 lengths clear with 50 yards to go. She might try and make all, but there's other speed here, and I doubt she's a dirt horse. Jinjin shocked Torpedo Anna last time and nosed Nitrogen on the wire. 2 big wins at Keeneland, never done it anywhere else, in and out. Be amazed if she did it again here. Majestic Ups, no, although 66 is arguably big. Gunsong, not good enough. Did win last time, the first time in a while, but no. Dry Powder, no, not as good as Jinjin, who's not good enough. Regaled is the only one I think when you get 4 places in the European books. A Regaled ran really well at Del Mar last time. I wouldn't be surprised if she came up and got into the frame. If you get 4 places, Regaled for 25 to 1 appeals. But the current prices, it's all about whether you want to go with Seismic Beauty or not. Call it 2 to 1. In other words, you run this race 3 times. Does Seismic Beauty win it once?
It sounds like the way you're talking about it, looking at her buy figures.
It's tricky, but basically this is a really poor quality distaff in which one horse stands out, and I can't say for sure whether they're going to deliver their best performance or not. If Seismic Beauty does deliver again, like our last 2 races, this is over.
Okay. Yeah. Well, all eyes on Seismic Beauty then, and all eyes on where that price goes. It sounds like it could get shorter. Morning Man would suggest it should get shorter, and we will be fingers very much crossed that she gets across the line in front. Thank you for watching. We'll be back with more videos tomorrow covering the remaining races that we have not yet gone through. Check out our channel. There's a load more on there that we've recorded earlier this evening. And then do head to our social media. Our Twitter should be in the description, and you can follow up exactly what we're saying. Yes, got something to add.
Sorry, just my usual finger in the air. One final thing to say. Should have probably said it earlier, but I'll say it now. There are 14 Breeders' Cup races. This is definitely a marathon, not a sprint. So if, races come along and you think, oh, do you know what? I don't know what to do with this. Yeah, move on to the next one. It's going to be a long couple of nights for some of us.
Yeah, a nice couple of nights. Good couple of nights. It's an exciting Friday and Saturday, isn't it? But right. We will speak to you soon. Have a nice evening, everyone. And thanks for joining us.
See you tomorrow.